Smoke still rose from the broken towers of the alien city. The ground was full of black ash, glass shards, and broken metal. It was quiet now. Too quiet. The war had ended weeks ago, but something in the air still felt dangerous. Jace, a human soldier, stepped carefully through the ruins. His boots crunched over shattered stone. He had been ordered to scan this sector for survivors or leftover tech. But so far, all he found were burned buildings and empty shells. Then he heard it. A sound. Very soft. A whisper. Or maybe a cry. He stopped and turned. The sound came again, barely a breath, like someone trying not to be heard. He moved closer to the sound, pushing through a fallen wall. There was a dark hole in the ground, like a collapsed basement. Jace took out his flashlight. The beam of light shook slightly in his hand. He climbed down carefully. The smell hit him first. Rust, mold, and something else. Something like fear. As he stepped deeper inside, his light caught on metal bars, thick and rusted. Behind those bars was a cage, and inside the cage was a girl, not human. She sat in the corner, arms wrapped around her knees, long silver hair covering her face. Her skin was pale blue and covered in bruises. Chains wrapped around her ankles and wrists. She looked weak. Thin, like she hadn't eaten in days. Her eyes lifted slowly when she heard him, bright yellow eyes glowing softly in the dark. She didn't scream. She didn't speak. She only stared. Jace knelt down, his voice calm. "Hey, I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't move. He looked at the lock on the cage. Old tech. Easy to break. He pulled out his tool, twisted it inside the lock, and clicked it open. The cage door creaked, but she didn't move. "I'm human," he said. "I can help you. You're safe now." Her lips parted. Her voice came out cracked and dry. "Human?" Jace nodded. "That's right." She suddenly crawled toward him on hands and knees. Her chains rattled. She stopped at his feet and looked up at him, shaking. Don't leave me here," she whispered. Jace frowned. "I'm not leaving. I'll get you out." She grabbed his leg, and then she said something that froze his heart. "I'll give you strong children. Just take me with you. Please." Jace stared at her, confused. "What?" She looked down, ashamed. "Isn't that what you want? That's what they wanted from me. That's all I have left to offer." "No," he said firmly. "I'm not like them." But she didn't believe him yet. Her name, he later learned, was Zyla. She had been captured long before the war ended. Her people had fallen. Her captors had used her as a prize, then locked her away when she became useless. Jace didn't know who she had been before, but he could see who she was now. Broken, scared, and still trying to survive. "I don't want anything from you," Jace said softly. "Just come with me. I'll get those chains off." Her lips trembled. She had not heard kindness in a long time. He broke the chains, one by one. Her ankles were swollen. Her wrists were bleeding. Still, she tried to stand. She fell. Jace caught her. She felt light in his arms. Too light. He carried her up through the tunnel, back into the sunlight. She gasped as the wind touched her face for the first time in what felt like forever. She looked at him, confused. "You really freed me?" "Yes." "Then I am yours." He paused. "You're free. You don't belong to anyone." But she shook her head. "My people don't think like that. I was captured. Now I am yours. You saved me. That means I must serve you." Jace looked at her, unsure what to say. War had changed so many things. He didn't know what world she came from, but one thing was clear. She didn't need a master. She needed mercy. As the sun set behind the broken towers, Jace helped her walk. They didn't speak much after that, but she kept looking at him like he was something strange, something impossible. Human who didn't hurt her, and somewhere deep inside, hope flickered in her broken heart. The cold wind bit through the burned buildings as Jace helped the alien woman walk through the ruined streets. Her steps were slow. Each movement hurt, but she never complained. Not once. Her name, she finally told him, was Zyla. He wrapped a military blanket around her thin body and gave her water. She drank like someone who hadn't tasted liquid in days. Her hands shook. Her lips were cracked. But when she looked at him, there was something deep in her eyes, a question she hadn't yet asked. They found an old shop to rest in. The roof was gone and the walls were black from fire, but it was quiet, safe, for now. Jace built a small fire from broken shelves and sat near her. "You don't talk much," he said gently. Zyla sat with her knees pulled to her chest. Her silver hair hung like a curtain around her face. "I was taught not to," she whispered. "By your people." She shook her head. "By them." Jace waited. Zyla finally looked up. "I wasn't always a prisoner, I figured. I was born in the palace of Cernthal, first daughter of the royal line." Jace blinked. He hadn't expected that. Zyla saw his face and gave a sad smile. "It means nothing now. My kingdom is dust. My family, executed. I was taken. I was kept alive for one reason only." Her fingers curled into fists. "They said my blood was strong. My body would make strong offspring." Jace clenched his jaw. He had seen horrible things during the war, but this made his stomach turn. "I fought," Zyla continued. "They beat me. I stopped fighting. They said I was broken. Then they locked me in that cage. They called me worthless." She paused. "You found me after that." Jace didn't speak. He didn't know what to say. What could he say to someone who had lost everything? But then she looked him in the eye. Her voice became firmer. "You were kind to me. That's strange." He gave a small smile. "It shouldn't be. You could have claimed me. My people's laws would allow it." "I'm not your people," Jace said. Zyla tilted her head. "Then who are you?" He sighed. "Just a mechanic who got pulled into a war. I fix things, not people." She looked at him carefully. "But you found me." "Yes. And you didn't use me." "No." Zyla fell silent. Then her voice dropped to a whisper again. "Then what do you want from me?" Jace looked at the fire. The orange light flickered on the metal pieces around them. "I want you to rest, to eat, to heal," he said. "That's all?" She stared at him for a long time. Then she cried. Not loudly. Not with shaking sobs. But silent tears that rolled down her cheeks as her hands gripped the blanket tighter. For the first time in years, someone wanted nothing from her. That night, she fell asleep beside the fire. Jace kept watch, rifle in hand, his eyes scanning the dark. But just before dawn, a noise came, metal clink. Jace turned sharply. Something moved on the far side of the broken street. He raised his rifle. A dark shape appeared, a figure with armor, glowing red eyes, and a long blade. Zyla's eyes snapped open. She whispered in fear. "He's here." "Who?" Jace asked, aiming his weapon. "The keeper, the one who owned my cage." Jace stood. "Not anymore." But Zyla crawled backward. "You don't understand. He doesn't care about law or war. He's a collector. He wants me back." The armored figure stepped into the light and Jace saw it. Not human, not fully alien. A thing made of both. And it was smiling. "You took what was mine," it said in a voice that buzzed like metal. "She's not yours." Jace growled. "She is," the figure replied. "By bond, by claim, by cage." Jace didn't wait. He fired. The blast hit the figure's shoulder, but it didn't fall. Zyla screamed as the keeper charged. Jace grabbed her and ran into the alley behind the shop. They didn't look back. Zyla's breath came fast. "Why are you doing this? Why risk your life?" Jace's answer was simple. Because you're not a thing. You're not a cage. And no one owns you. The city ruins groaned under the weight of wind and broken stone as Jace pulled Zyla down, a narrow crack between buildings. The keeper's footsteps echoed behind them, heavy, calm, and without hurry. He wasn't chasing them like prey. He was hunting like a master who expected his property to crawl back eventually. Jace didn't plan to let that happen. Down here, he said, spotting a broken drain tunnel. The rusted cover was halfway open, probably from an old bombing run. Zyla hesitated. It's dark, Jace offered his hand. That's good. Dark means he can't find us. She took his hand. They dropped into the tunnel, the stench of wet stone and old oil filling their lungs. Water dripped in the distance. The only light came from Jace's shoulder lamp. The tunnel curved deep under the city, and the walls closed, and Jace moved carefully, checking corners, helping Zyla step over fallen pipes. Every so often she flinched at sounds, her trauma still fresh. But she followed him step by step. I used to run through tunnels like these as a kid, he said, trying to keep her mind off fear. Used to pretend I was a space explorer. Zyla looked at him. We don't play games like that. You should have. It helps when life gets ugly. Zyla was quiet, then softly said, Life was always ugly. They walked in silence for a while. The tunnel split into two paths. Jace paused to check his scanner. Suddenly, the device glitched. A wave of static hit the screen. Jace frowned. Something's jamming the signal. Zyla's eyes narrowed. The Keeper. He carries dampeners. He can block tech. Of course, he does, Jace muttered. They turned left. 10 minutes in, the air got colder. The walls were covered in glowing moss. Zyla touched it gently with awe, her first sign of wonder since her rescue. But then they heard something. Clink, clink, clink. Not footsteps. Chains. Jace stopped. That's not the Keeper. No, Zyla whispered. It's worse. From the far end of the tunnel, a form crawled out of the dark. It looked like her. Same skin, same silver hair, but her eyes were black holes. Her mouth was sewn shut with metal wire. Her body was twisted like she had been remade, but not by choice. Zyla backed away, trembling. That's one of the others. Others? Jace asked, raising his weapon. They took more than just me. Some were altered, changed. Some were made into machines to obey. The creature turned its head sharply, sniffed the air, and charged. Jace fired once, twice. The thing didn't stop. Zyla screamed, falling back against the tunnel wall. Jace shouted, Run! Zyla sprinted into a side tunnel. Jace followed, reloading as fast as he could. The sound of metal limbs and scraping teeth chased them through the darkness. They came to a sealed door, old military tech. Heavy. Zyla slammed her fist on the panel. It's locked. Not for long. Jace dropped to one knee and pulled out his override chip. Behind them, the creature shrieked. Too close. The panel sparked, then opened. Jace shoved Zyla through and sealed the door behind them just as claws scraped the frame. They both stood still, breathing hard. Is it gone? Zyla asked, voice shaking. Not for long. That thing was tracking you. They've turned her into a hunter. Zyla's face filled with horror. She was my cousin. We were taken together. She didn't survive the first breeding cycle. Jace lowered his weapon slowly. I'm sorry. Zyla turned away. Don't be. I just wish I had killed her before she became that. The space they had entered was wide. An old underground train station. Empty. Safe for now. Jace checked his gear. Zyla sat on an old crate, holding her hands tightly. I can't keep running forever, she whispered. We won't, Jace replied. But I need you to tell me something. Why is the Keeper after you? You said he's not military, not political. Then what does he want? Zyla looked up. Her voice was hollow. He wants a child. A perfect one. From royal blood and human genes, a mix no one has made before. Jace froze. You mean me? She nodded slowly. He watched you. He saw you rescue me. He thinks we're already bonded. Jace's face turned pale. So, if he catches us, he won't kill me. But you? Zyla finished his sentence. He'll use you. Until you're no longer useful. A silence settled over them. Then Jace stood. Then let's make sure he never gets the chance. The train tunnels led them deeper underground where the lights were long dead, and the walls whispered with old wind and forgotten war. Zyla leaned against Jace as they walked. Her steps were weak. Her breath came slow. Her strength was fading. Again. We need to stop, she said softly. Jace looked ahead. His helmet scanner blinked. A faint heat signature appeared on his display, just beyond the bend. Wait here, he said. He moved forward slowly, gun ready, footsteps silent. At the end of the tunnel stood a sealed metal door, half covered in rust and vines. It looked dead. But as he brushed off the moss and tapped the side panel, a green light blinked once, a hidden outpost, forgotten, buried, but not destroyed. The door hissed open. Inside, the air smelled dry and stale, but it was warm. Emergency. Lights glowed dim red. The room had supplies, cots, water tanks, old rations, probably left behind when human forces pulled out. Jace smiled to himself. Jackpot. He ran back, lifted Zyla in his arms, and brought her inside. She blinked at the soft lights. Is this real? As real as we need, he said, laying her gently on a cot. He gave her water, cleaned her wounds again, and opened a ration pack. She took a bite and closed her eyes like it was the first real food in years. You saved me again, she whispered. Jace gave a small shrug. Guess I'm making a habit of it. Zyla sat quietly watching him as he worked. Then she spoke. Do you want to know why they called me broken? Jace looked up. Only if you want to tell me. She stared at the wall. Her voice was low and bitter. My first mate was chosen by the elders. He was cold, cruel. But they said we would make strong heirs. I tried, I failed. Twice. She touched her stomach lightly. They said something was wrong with my body. That I was unfit to breed. That I was a waste of royal blood. Jace didn't interrupt. Zyla smiled, but it was hollow. So when the invaders came, they offered me as a gift to the highest bidder. No one wanted a failed breeder. Except the keeper. Jace's fists tightened. You are not broken. She looked at him with wide eyes. Then what am I? He stepped closer and gently took her hand. You're alive. That's enough. Zyla looked at their hands, hers bruised, his calloused. You don't understand, she said. In my world, a woman's value is in what she can give. Children, power, legacy. Well, Jace said, in my world, a person's value is in who they are, not what they're forced to give. Silence fell between them. Then Zyla said, something that made Jace freeze. If I could give you children, would you take me then? He looked at her sharply. Zyla, I mean it, she said, voice trembling. You've risked everything for me. You've shown me more kindness than my own family. I don't know what else I can offer, but if you want children, I would try again. For you. Jace knelt in front of her. Zyla, he said softly, don't ever say that again. You don't owe me your body. You don't owe me anything. Tears welled up in her eyes. I want to belong somewhere. Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. Then stay here. With me. Not because of what you can give, but because of who you are. For a long time, she didn't say anything. Then, slowly, she leaned forward and rested her head against his chest. Outside, the silence of the ruins held steady, but deep in the shadows something crawled. The keeper had found the trail again, and he was getting close. The lights in the outpost flickered softly through the night. Jace stayed awake, sitting near the door, with his weapon across his lap. He hadn't slept in over 30 hours, but he couldn't let himself rest. Not while the keeper was still out there. Inside the room, Zila slept lightly. She curled under the blanket, her hands clutched to her chest. Even in safety, her body didn't relax fully. Suddenly she stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, golden and glowing dim in the red light. She sat up, looking around in silence. Then her eyes found him. "You're still awake," she said quietly. "Couldn't sleep," Jace answered. "You think he'll come?" "I know he will." Shyla nodded. She pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders and walked slowly to sit beside him. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then, without looking at him, she whispered, "You're very strange for a soldier." Jace raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "You don't bark orders. You don't ask for anything in return. You even sleep outside the door." He chuckled. "You think I'm a bad soldier?" "I think you're a good man," she said. He fell quiet. Then she added, "And that scares me more than the keeper." Jace turned to her. "Why?" She looked down. Her hands were shaking. "Because I don't know how to repay kindness. I only know how to survive." Jace watched her for a moment. "You don't have to repay anything, just stay alive. That's enough." Zyla hesitated. Then slowly she reached into the collar of her torn robe and pulled something out. A small, crystal-like pendant glowing faintly with blue light. She placed it in his hand. "What's this?" he asked. "A seed stone," she said. "It's given only to royal females at birth. It's used in bonding rituals." Jace looked up, surprised. "You want me to keep this?" "I want you to accept it." He blinked. "Zyla, I want to give you more than trouble, more than danger. I want to offer you something meaningful." He frowned. "You're talking about a bond?" She nodded. Jace was quiet, unsure what to say. Then she whispered, "I know I may not be able to bear children, but if I could, would you want them? Would you want me?" He stared at her, stunned. The silence grew heavy. She misunderstood his pause. Her voice cracked. "Forget I said anything, No," he said quickly. "It's not that, it's just, this is the first time anyone's ever offered me something like this. Not out of fear, not out of duty." Zyla's voice shook. "I offer it with my whole heart." He looked into her eyes, those wild, golden eyes that had seen too much pain and still dared to hope. "I don't want a bond because of tradition," he said. "I want it only if you want it. Not because you're afraid. Not because you're trying to pay me back." Shyla smiled, but tears ran down her cheeks. "I've never had a choice before," she whispered. "But with you, I feel like I do." She reached out, gently touching his hand. The seed stone in his palm warmed. It pulsed once, soft, living energy. Then the room shook. A dull thud echoed from above. Jace stood fast. "We're not alone." Zyla's face went pale. "It's him." The keeper had found the outpost. Jace loaded his rifle. "You stay here," he said. "There's a back exit in the supply room. If I don't come back—" "No," Zyla said sharply. "If we die together." He turned to her, and for the first time he saw her as more than a rescued captive. She was standing tall, head high, eyes burning like fire. Not broken, not weak. A royal woman, ready to fight. Jace gave a short nod. "Then we hold the door. Together." The outpost lights dimmed as the power core flickered under pressure. From above, heavy footsteps echoed like thunder. The keeper was not alone. He had brought soldiers. Not from any army. These were hired killers. Some part alien, others human. Deserters. Their armor was mismatched and their red visors glowed through the dust and darkness. Jace peered through a small crack in the wall. 5, maybe 6 enemies. One of them carried a flame launcher. Another had something worse. A capture spear. "They're not here to fight," he muttered. "They're here to collect." Behind him, Zyla checked the old gear crates. Her fingers worked quickly, wrapping a cloth around her arm like a bandage. She found a small shock grenade, nearly dead, but still usable. You should leave through the escape tunnel, Jace told her. You can still run. I told you, she replied. If we fall together. Jace gave her a nod. Then let's make them bleed for every inch. The walls suddenly shook as a detonation blast ripped the outer door apart. Smoke poured in. Voices barked in 3 different languages, harsh, cold, full of command. Jyla took a deep breath and stood beside Jace. He looked at her. Stay behind me. No, she said. I fight. The door burst open. The keeper entered first, tall and monstrous in half-machine armor. His voice boomed across the room. Give her to me and I will spare your life, human. Jace aimed his rifle straight at his heart. You don't get to make demands. The first shot hit the keeper's chest. He didn't fall, but it made him stumble back. Gunfire broke out. The room became chaos. Jyla dove behind the control panel and threw the shock grenade. It exploded with a crack of light, stunning one of the attackers. Jace took down another with 2 precise shots, but they were outnumbered. One of the mercs rushed forward and slammed Jace into the wall. His gun skidded across the floor. The attacker raised a blade. Jyla screamed and grabbed a broken pipe. Iman struck the merc's head, once, twice, until he dropped. Jace got up, blood on his face. Thanks. But it wasn't over. The keeper stepped forward, grabbing Jyla by the arm and lifting her like she weighed nothing. You are mine. Struggled, kicking, clawing, screaming. Jace tackled the keeper from behind. They slammed into the generator unit. Sparks flew. Electricity arced. Both men hit the ground, stunned. Jyla crawled to Jace's side. Get up, she whispered. Please, get up. His eyes fluttered. The keeper rose again, slow and angry, smoke rising from his armor. He raised his spear. Jyla threw herself in front of Jace. Do it, she spat. Kill me, but you will never own me. The keeper froze. For the first time, he hesitated. You'd die for him? He asked. I already did once, she said. He brought me back. Just then, Jace pulled the knife from his boot and threw it, straight into the keeper's throat. The machine man gurgled and fell backwards, shaking the ground. Silence followed. The remaining mercs fled, dragging their wounded out as the outpost crackled with small fires. Jyla dropped to her knees beside Jace. You're hurt, he coughed and smiled. You're not bad with a pipe. You're not bad with a knife. They both laughed, just for a moment. Then Jyla touched his chest. Why did you protect me again? You could have run. Jace looked into her eyes. Because I don't protect things I own. I protect the ones I care about. Tears filled her eyes. She leaned forward and kissed his forehead. I don't know if I can ever give you children, she whispered. But if I live, I want to give you my life. Jace's hand found hers. You already have. Outside, the flames faded, but inside that broken outpost something powerful had been born. Not from war, not from pain, but from choice. Weeks passed. The war was over. The city ruins now quiet under the silver sky. Smoke no longer rose. The streets were silent. The battles had ended. But for Jace and Jyla, the fight had changed into something else. A fight to live. A fight to rebuild. A fight to belong. Far from the war zone, across the green valleys of the outer colonies, they found peace in an old farming village. It sat on the edge of human and alien territory, a place where no flags flew and no soldiers came. Jace bought a small home with the last of his credits. It was broken, like them. He repaired the roof. She planted food in the garden. Together, they fixed what others had thrown away. Each day started slow. Birds chirped. Alien insects hummed. The sun was golden instead of red. And each night, Jyla curled beside him. Not as a captive, not as a burden, but as an equal. One morning, Jace stepped outside to find her kneeling by the soil, hands dirty, hair tied back. She looked up at him and smiled. A real smile this time. Not tired, not guarded. "I think the green fruit will grow," she said. Jace chuckled. "Even after I forgot to water them?" "They're stubborn," she teased. "Like you." He sat beside her. The breeze carried soft scents from the forest beyond the field. Jyla brushed her fingers across her lower stomach, almost as if thinking deeply. He noticed. "You okay?" She nodded. Then softly she said, "I had a dream last night. I saw a small child. With your eyes." Jace blinked. "My eyes? And silver hair," she added with a light laugh. "Running across this field." He didn't say anything. Then she whispered, "Do you think I still could?" He took her hand gently. "If it happens, it happens. If not, we still have a life, and that's already a miracle." She leaned into him. "You don't understand. You already gave me something no one else could." "What's that?" She looked into his eyes. "A future." Later that week, a traveler came through the village, a small merchant ship with food, parts, and news. The merchant recognized Jace and looked shocked. "You're alive? There's a bounty out for you, you know." Jace smirked. "Guess I'm lucky." The merchant glanced at Xyla nearby, who was cleaning tools. "Is that the alien princess?" "She's not a princess anymore," Jace said calmly. "She's my partner." The merchant paused. "Well, I hope you know what you're doing. She was wanted by very powerful people." Jace replied without hesitation. "They can keep wanting. She belongs here now." The merchant left, and the village returned to its quiet ways. But that night, Xyla seemed restless. She sat on the porch, looking at the stars. "Do you ever think they'll come? Back? The ones who tried to own me?" "Maybe," Jay said honestly, "but they'll have to go through me first." Xyla smiled. "Then they don't stand a chance." 1 month later, Xyla stood at the edge of the field, staring at the green fruit plants. Her hands trembled. Jace came out, wiping sweat from his neck. "What is it?" She turned slowly, her eyes were wide, wet. She took his hand and placed it gently on her stomach. A quiet moment passed. "I was wrong," she whispered. "I'm not broken." Jace stared at her, stunned. "You mean?" She nodded. "I'm carrying life." He didn't speak. He just wrapped his arms around her and held her tightly, burying his face into her shoulder. She sobbed softly. "I thought I'd never feel whole again." "You've always been whole," he whispered back. "Now, you're more." As the sun set behind their small home, the wind carried the scent of green fruit blossoms, and inside the house warmth filled the rooms, not from fire, but from love, healing, and the future that once seemed impossible. Two broken souls had built something new, a home, a bond, and now, a family.